You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever knew.
Let's talk about the painting because I like this painting a lot.
Ecce Homo, is that how you say it?
I don't know.
E-T?
Sounds right.
E-C-C-E,
I think it's
which
Eke.
is which I believe translates to the man, or here's the man.
Well, it makes sense because in the painting, the figure who's Pilate right in the center is pointing to the man.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah,
the man. And
yeah. Here he is. What are you gonna do with him? And which one do you want? Do you want him, or do you want the freedom fighter, the
yeah,
insurrection?
you want the disappointment who's not going anywhere, or do you want the real rabble-rousing leader that's easy to follow?
Yeah, so it's from 1871, Antonio Ciceri, and I don't know anything else about him. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I did not. I mean, I guess if I'm going to be critical of it, the first thing I would critique is that Jesus looks in far too good of physical condition. So the artist has sterilized it. I think in reality, he looks pretty brutal at this point of
Yeah,
the.
because he's already been flogged, right?
Yeah, he's been flogged at this point of the story, and the crowns have not only been put on his head, but they've been hit into his head with a stick several
Yeah.
times. So he doesn't. I mean, the artist has him looking pretty fantastic. Like, yeah, he is a loser king. He can't even protect himself, right? I mean,
Hmm.
this is obviously not what I see. But we have the benefit of hindsight and the resurrection. In that moment, the crowd that would have been hoping for a lot from him, I think that would have been. I mean, they say it later on the cross, like you couldn't even save yourself, right? I love the rest of the scene. I love the crowd that you can glimpse through the railing. I love
A big
the
crowd. They paint the
yeah,
crowd. It looks like thousands of people there.
yeah. With it being a high holy day weekend, and then the fact that this guy has come in to the Capitol on a high holy day, riding a donkey, making a grand entrance, and now he's on trial, and they've taken him to Pilate. Like it's not easy to imagine that, given all those things, like a significant crowd would form.
I think what we see on the outside is, I think that's a depiction of Herod's temple, of the Jewish temple. Looks like the renderings I've seen of what that temple would have looked like. You got Jewish guys way up on the upper part of the temple, waving their arms. Everybody's waving their arms. You see the guy
Yeah,
in the blue up there sticking his arm out, and the guy in the corner of the upper balcony or the overlook of the temple sticking both hands up. He almost looks like he's praying. And then you got Pilate sticking his hand out. Everybody's sticking
yeah,
their hands out. Talk about some of the
yeah.
characters inside of Pilate's palace there.
Yeah, I think the most captivating one is the woman just to the right of Pilate. So you've got, looks like a dignitary kind of guy immediately to the right of Pilate as you look at it with a scroll in his hand. He seems like an advisor, but the woman that's turned away from the scene, to me, she's Pilate's wife. And we
Mm-hmm.
know from, we know from the narrative that she's tried to warn him, like, hey, don't have anything to do with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, and in one of the other gospels, he asked Jesus, like they say, part of the problem here is they say that you claim to be the Son of God. Are you? Back to so I think this is Pilate's wife, and I think her countenance, her body language, it seems like her courtier lady is like comforting her and steadying her, and it seems like she is physically kind of sick at what she sees developing, and in conjunction with her dream that she'd had during the night. And um, yeah, so she's like, I said not to do anything, but this is the situation. I think you see a woman that realizes that the situation is getting out of hand really quickly and has a sense in her gut that this is something that shouldn't be happening, but the train is headed down the tracks and we're not going to stop it. And I don't even know what to do.
There's an interesting combination of fear, both with her because of her dream and with Pilate. Like, he sort of freaks out when he hears the Son of God talk, and and there seems to be a combination of, this is too much. There's seems to be a lot of revelation going on to the Romans. Like, this guy is beyond. This is not just the latest Jewish squabble, but there's something about this man that is deeply compelling and deeply disturbing. I see a lot of mockery in the king motif, where they dress him up like one, and in some ways it reads like Pilate's making fun of them. Like, here's your king, here's the man, and yet
totally.
He's also freaking out. I also like it that the other characters in the painting, they're all like lifting their heads to look outside. They want to see what's going on, and they're very interested in different ways. They all have light shining on their faces. Jesus himself, he's at one point he doesn't answer Pilate, and Pilate says, "You're not going to answer me." And then Jesus does answer him and say, "Well, the only authority you have is the only reason you have authority is because it was given." That looks like the silent Jesus. He's just taking it, and everybody else is like, "Man, check out this crowd. Is this going to be a problem for us?" Now you wonder if they have enough soldiers to fight off a crowd of thousands if they climb the railing, and maybe part of what these guys are looking at is this going to get violent.
Just from a beauty and art standpoint, to me, it is a beautiful piece of art. Like, it's really beautifully done.
The color contrast, the light hitting the temple, the blue sky, and then the dark interior. I just noticed now that Pilate's chair or throne has a leopard skin draped on it, and with the head of the leopard on the back of the chair. You see that, and then up to the far left, you see the Roman symbol.
I had not connected that building is the temple, but now that you say it, like, oh yeah, absolutely, that's what it is. And so it is interesting that the artist positions the temple, which is really kind of one of the pivot points of this whole thing, right? Like, one of the stumbling points. Like, Jesus is like, "Hey, I'm gonna, tear it down and I'll raise it in 3 days." And of course, he's talking about his own body.
Just to touch you once again.